All right. We're going to have a bit of a group project today. So if you're sitting all by yourself, you might squeeze in so you can have conversation with some folks. And I would ask Lindsay to pass these out. One per group, or, it doesn't have to, everybody doesn't have to have one, but, oh, I'll take one of them too, so I don't forget what I'm doing. And we'll get to that in a little bit. It's just a little sampling of what we've been doing at the high school, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Um, really appreciate Noah speaking today. Really helpful. I think it's good. Yes, I can do a sermon and a town hall. A lot of the town hall stuff is already prepped for me because I'm just reporting to you a lot of the things that are going on. But I do feel like it's a real positive thing to have another voice for the church to hear from time to time. Since Nikki has transitioned over to Good Shepherd, we haven't had that as much. So thank you, Noah. Really appreciate it. And I know I always hear great things when you guys get to hear Noah speak. In fact, I was sitting up here going, we're a little fuller than usual. Everybody must know Noah's preaching. But no, I'm very happy about that. So today we are going to, and Noah already gave us a run through, but we're going to remember our mission, vision, and values again. And we're going to talk a little bit about what has been going on in the church, what your staff has been up to and your leadership has been doing. And as we get to that, let's first just bow our heads and have a word of prayer. Lord, as we come into this space and talk about the work of building your kingdom here on earth, we pray we would be a blessing to you. I pray that these words shared would help express the vision that you have given for this church. And also, Lord, the vision is not coming from one direction, it's coming from many directions. So as the church hears, help them to correct and direct as we hear your voice, one in the Spirit. It's in your name we pray. Amen. So how many of you were here with us last Sunday? Can I see hands? All right. If you weren't with us, you missed our first experiential service. Did you guys think it was a lot of fun? I got a lot of good responses. So our next one will be in July. We're looking at times when we have a single service, doing it a little bit differently. That gives us opportunity to experiment a little bit with worship, and what works, fantastic. What doesn't, well, we'll just learn from it and go forward. But I hope that doesn't scare you off. A lot of times, some folks, they hear like experiential service or something different, and they decide that's the time to go to the lakes, right? But I hope you don't, because we're looking for ways to engage in worship in a way that gets our whole body part of worship, our voice, our thoughts, our reflections, our fellowship, just finding unique ways to bring that into this space to explore together. Our next one will be the first Sunday in July, as we take that Independence Day weekend, and typically a lower service. So we'll come together, and it's a great time to try something new. All right. So this is our second quarter. We've been doing town halls. One kind of quick update for you. We've kind of discerned that, we do 3 a year. We're thinking we're going to go to 2 a year. We don't want to be too redundant with this, but as we share what's going on, we think that will be a better mark for us. Each of the staff has something to share with us today. And one of the first ones I want us to start with is Lindsay. Are you all set to go? And then I'll share a little bit, and we'll invite Allie and Lindsay to share.
All right. You're probably tired of hearing about Rome, but that's what I'm talking to you today about. So I know that there's still some questions about what Realm is, as we've been taking photos out front. This is what they're being uploaded to, Realm. It's our online directory. And it's also our hub for communication and management. And so it helps us keep everything in one nice little place. Realm is also a powerful tool that helps you lead and communicate effectively within your committees and your groups, serving teams. And my goal is to show you how Realm can simplify communication, event planning, and church engagement. You can access Realm by going to auburnumc.church, which is our website, /Realm, or downloading the app Realm Connect. So Realm is the church's private online community. So think of it as like a bulletin board, a directory, and a calendar all in one place. The church uses Realm to keep your information up to date on our side, so that we know what phone number to call if we need to reach you, or an address to send a letter to, or even an email address. So you can also use Realm in a number of helpful ways. You can use the directory, search for the most accurate information that's available. So if we know and we update it, you get it right away in your app, in the Realm, in Realm. And if we don't know, we can't update it. But you also can update your own information as well without having to contact us to do it. You can stay informed with church and group calendars, and you can also give on the app with just a few simple taps and clicks. And you can also view your giving history and print your statements. So you don't have to worry about whether Aaron's in the office or Tammy's in the office. You can do it right through Realm. If you want to go to the next slide. I've heard a lot of concerns about whether your information is safe, about the security of Realm. And I want to let you know that the only people who are able to see your information are those who have approved accounts. And those accounts have been approved by us. So every account request is personally reviewed by me or another staff member. And it's not a public app like Facebook, where anybody in the outside world can look up your information. And if you want to go to the next one. With your account, you can specify your own individual privacy settings for your phone number, your address, birthday, and more. So you can choose from multiple options, and I'm just going to give you a brief summary of what those are. Anyone in the church these are all settings within Realm. So anyone in the church, that would be all users through our little nook of First UMC. And then the leaders in groups or serving teams, that setting grants access to users who are leaders or parts of a group or serving team. So if you're on, congregational care, that information, you would be able to see the information that each individual user has set up for you, given you access to see. The leaders setting grants access only to users who are considered leaders of those groups or teams. And then the users with permission only setting grants access only to special users, such as the staff. So if you want, your birthday, you can set that to users with permission only, and then only the staff have access to see that information. The next slide. The directory. You no longer have to hunt for phone numbers. If you need somebody's phone number, you can open the app or go online to onrealm.org, and you can type in who you're looking for and their phone number, if they've made that available to you. Their phone number is there. And you can scroll through the list and find someone using their photo. Like if you scroll through the list, you see a photo of somebody that you recognize, you don't remember their name, right there's their name. It's very helpful. Or you can use the search tool, which is at the top. And if you know exactly who you're looking for. If you want to go to the next slide, which this is another reason why we've been taking photos, because profile photos are very useful, especially for new staff members. We have a few. And so being able to see your photo next to your name is very, very helpful for people who want to remember things. So without having to constantly ask you, what's your name again? Okay. So once you find the person that you're looking for, you can tap their email or phone number and connect with them. If you're on your phone, it'll pull up a little box. Like if you click the phone number, it'll pull a box, and you can probably sort of make that out. You can call, send a message. I think it's copy. Yeah, copy, or whatever you need to do to get to where you need to go. Where are we at? If you want to hop to the next slide. Events. Events is a tab in Realm, and this is where you'll find the church calendar, along with any events for the groups that you're a part of. So we try to put them into the calendar if we've been made aware. We're trying to do better at that, to make sure that you have an updated list of all the events that you are looking for or would be a part of. If you want to hop to the next. You can find an event in the event. You can find event info in the event descriptions section of each event, and within that, you'll also have the option to, if there's, we put worship services in here, for example. We always add a link to the live stream in each event. So if you need to get to, you want to watch church online, you can find that in Realm with just a tap. And you can also comment on each event, to ask questions, or if you want to make updates to an event that you're in charge of, you can comment there so people can see. And then you can also, if we've set it up as an RSVP type of event, you can also RSVP on those events with just one tap. You don't have to sign in other than into the app. But yeah. And then you can also add these events to your personal calendar. So there's now that option to add it to, if you use Google Calendar or your iPhone or whatever, there's just a few settings that you have to allow, and then it'll add it to your calendar if you want it to. Go to the next slide. Thank you. The news section is a feed of every update from the church and your groups. So this is, you could scroll and scroll and scroll. You will see old events in there because it does not delete. You could scroll, probably all the way back to 2022 if you wanted to. But this is where you can share a quick update with your group, or a prayer request, or even upload a photo if you want to share something with your group. And none of your posts are shared with the whole church, just the groups that you would pick if that group has allowed posting and such. So, and then you can also scroll through your news feed to read updates from other people in your groups. And on the next slide, to update your contact info, you would navigate to your profile to make any needed updates. If you can't find your profile on the app, in your menu section, there is like a little more icon. So you click there, click on your photo, and then you should be able to get to your profile from there. And that's where you can update your address, add new family members to your household if you're lucky enough for that. And And then here's also where you make those updates to your privacy settings if you wish to do that. If we go to the next slide. So this is just a little screenshot of how to get started. So if you want to take a look here. You go to our request page to sign up for your account. And here's where you'll click sign up if you don't have an account. So you just fill in all of the fields that are necessary, like your email address, your name, and your phone number. You don't have to put your birthday in there if you really don't want to. It's helpful for us. And then once you submit that, a request comes to us and says, this person would like to have an account. So what we usually do is make sure that we know you. And if you're somebody new, then I would usually ask to meet with you on Sunday morning just to, kind of give you a run through about Realm. And then we will approve your request if we think you're a legitimate person who belongs to our congregation. And then if you want to hop to the next slide, you'll get an email from us that says your request has been approved. And there will be a link in that email that'll take you to Realm to set up your password and get some last little details. So make sure you follow the directions in your email. Sometimes it does go to spam, so I tried to send you an email to let you know that we've approved it. So you can be on the lookout for that email. And there are some instructions below the password section, just giving you information on what kind of password to set up. So if you have any issues or you want me to walk you through this, please contact me. I would be more than happy to get more people on Realm, because the more people that use it, the better tool it is for everybody. So you can schedule a time with me, bit.ly/Lindsay-schedule, or you can scan the QR code there if you want to get set up with that. But I am always happy to help. And my email, also, if you just want to chat, is lindsay@auburnumc.church. So thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's a helpful tool. We want to make sure we take advantage of it to help you guys connect and be able to connect to those you want to reach out to. We were having a conversation around the table during staff. I don't know if I should share this, but I said, some people, they're just not digitally capable, and I'm not, and one of them said, my dad's retired and he worked for Microsoft, so I think we're kind of past the stage where people don't know computers and phones anymore. So we hope you will take advantage of this and use it. If you get stuck, Lindsay's always here to help you through it. All right. Wanted to give space to make sure we have a lot of people who want to share today, which I'm excited about. So I want to make sure I give space to them. First off, I want Stephen Ministry to give us an update. And who do we have from Stephen Ministry that's sharing? All right, come on up. And here's the microphone to share with. So if you're not aware, Stephen Ministry is a great program. We have, how many are training right now? Is it 7?
Okay, well, thank you. It's an exciting, I always feel like it's an exciting time in our church, no matter what time it is, because there's always something good going on. The Stephen Ministry program, first of all, I want to thank Kathy and Steve for all the hours, all the time that they put into this. They're very good leaders. They're very conscientious. I wasn't sure about if I wanted to participate. But once I decided, yeah, I'll sit in and I'll listen, and hopefully someday I'll be able to help somebody that needs help, because that's what it's all about. It's just being there in your presence with Christ to listen to people that have problems. We've learned so many different things in there. I've learned a lot about myself and the difference between empathy and sympathy and apathy, the difference between aggressive behavior and assertive behavior, and how you can be assertive or assertive aggressive. But anyway, and then because it's helped me know myself better and be a better communicator with everyone, not always to run your mouth, but to listen. One of the funny stories that I have about it is when we were talking about it, and he says, well, I'm not sure if we'll have anybody that wants to share. And I said, oh, Steve, you have me, you have Clara Mary, and you have Arlene in there, and then Leslie. But I said, you will never, ever have to worry about talking and about us sharing. And it's true. I think it's a big therapy session for all of us. And I appreciate having that opportunity to participate.
I would agree with everything she said. It's been a wonderful group, something I look forward to every Sunday. And all the information that we're getting is very practical. So if you're interested, a lot of the stuff will seem like common sense and what you already know, but it's putting it into practice. And our leaders are wonderful, and the whole group is fantastic. We have a lot of fun. One thing that sticks out with me, though, is during our time each Sunday, we share. And I've learned a little bit about each person, and they've learned about me. And I'm noticing that we all have our own struggles in life. We've all had our own losses, trauma, whatever it may be. And God is bringing together this group that is meant to help people, not only in this church, but in the community by the specific situations we have gone through ourselves. So I would encourage anyone that wants to be a part of this to try it out. You're probably already doing a lot of the work in your own life with people around you. This just gives you specific tools.
And I'm going to back up and go through some of the mechanics of what Stephen's ministry is for any of you who aren't aware. We've been talking about it for about a year, but if you're not doing it, it may not have stuck. And I would tell you too, Kathy and I we were in Stephen's ministry over 30 years ago when Doug Anderson was here. But the program died shortly after all of us finished going through it. And 20-something-year-old Clara Mary learned a lot that I have applied in my life, even though I only had one person I helped as a Stephen's minister. Now we come back and it's the same program, but of course it's different, just as Clara Mary is different, 60-something-year-old Clara Mary is different. The program has changed a little bit too. But the basic concept is the same. If you will, it's kind of like counseling light. And we're very careful. We are not mental health counselors. We don't have that training. But what we have learned would be some of the tricks of the trade, I think, of mental health counseling to help with the light version. It's very important that we are able to say, okay, this is over our head. You need a professional. But what we're learning is the tools of listening and community. So I want to do a pitch for anybody who would want a Stephen's minister or knows of somebody who could benefit from one, because later this summer, we're going to finish our training and we're going to be looking for people to help. And we probably need a better word than that, because we're not just out here being do-gooders. We're creating community with someone who could use a good listener. Because by listening to somebody, actively listening, something we did before lives became crazy busy. I mean, we all know it was a simpler time 50 years ago. People sat on the porch. People sat around in the evening and talked to each other, talked and listened. And we don't have that going on now, and it's a lack in our society. Because there are times in all of our lives where we just need somebody to listen, because as we ramble away with our concerns and our struggles and our anxiety, hopefully, and often, we can sort of manage our own problems. But we need somebody who actively listens, who we know is letting us is being our sounding board, somebody who will keep it confidential. So please, number one rule, don't ask us who we're working with, because the answer is, I can't tell you. Not even a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Mm-mm. And if you see us meeting with somebody, you're like, oh, but that's who your ministry person is. Well, you know, funny thing, we have friends and family in this church, so maybe we're just getting together for coffee. All right. It's confidential, and we're there to listen and be a sounding board. And we've had some training so that hopefully we do it a little bit better. That's what I took from 30 years ago. I did use some of the things I learned the first time through in working with victims. Listening is perhaps not my best skill. But like everything else in life, stop. Like everything else in life, we can learn and we can practice and we can do better. So it's a wonderful resource for the church. If you know somebody who could use our help, please go to Kathy and Steve and let them know. We're probably not really going to be ready to fly here until August, September. But we're here to establish relationships with people who are going through some stuff and might enjoy a sounding board and a listener, which will be confidential, and maybe help you through a rough patch. We've all had rough patches. That's kind of what Lindsay referred to. And what we talk about in our group session, we've all had rough patches. And we're here to kind of walk through some of those together. And if you're interested in joining the next cohort, there'll be another cohort next year of people joining this group, and I'd highly recommend it. We've, I think, all had, good time is the wrong way to put it, a rich and meaningful experience. That would be the way I would put it. So anyway, hope you will enjoy having the program here in the church and join us in one capacity or another.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Stevens Ministers. And yeah, we're looking forward to the opportunity to serve with that ministry. All right. I do want to invite now Lindsay and Allie to come forward. We have a lot of things going on this summer, and they're going to just kind of help us understand what's happening there.
Is it on? Okay. Oh, yep, it's on. Hello. Okay. I just want to first thing, thank you everybody in this church for making me feel so welcome right off the bat. I have experienced the hospitality incredibly. So it's been so great starting to get to know people, to, go out for coffee and meals. It's been a really great start here. So thank you for that. And just thank you for the invites to Bible studies as well, and getting to speak at those. That's been really amazing. I'll get right into it. So this week, Monday through Friday, we have Peace Academy training, which I'll be going with Rob and Leslie and Dave and Betsy. So we have that, learning Kingian nonviolence, like Martin Luther King nonviolence strategies, so we can do mediation and peace club at the high school for the students there. That training is this week. Then we'll do elementary church camp. That is also in June at Lakewood. We'll be teaching on the themes of God's goodness and providence from Exodus. And then Fine Arts Camp is also in June. The theme is What's Cooking. We have about 130 kids signed up. We're still looking for volunteers. I think I mentioned that earlier, though. It has a really great script. Danita did so great with that. I'm really excited to be a part of it this year. So that's going to be awesome. And then I'll let Allie take it from here.
At the last town hall, I shared that we were starting the interview process for this position. So yay, progress. We are super excited that Lindsay has started and is stepping just incredibly well into her new role. And we're kind of having the summer to transition, and I'm handing things off and she's hitting the ground running because 2 weeks after you started, I was gone for 10 days. So here you go, which she's incredible. If you haven't gotten to know Lindsay yet, please do. She said we have a busy June. We also have a busy July. We will have our middle school and high school camp is at Epworth Forest, and that is July 5th through the 10th. And then on the 11th, because summer is crazy, we leave for our Asheville mission trip. So we're super excited about that. We have 26 people going. I said last year that we weren't ever going to take more than 20 or 21 people. So I'm a liar. Sorry. We have 26 people that are signed up. We're super excited. I was messaging with Sean, who works for Praying Pelican in Western North Carolina. He's kind of the coordinator for that whole region, and he does most of their disaster relief responses all over the country. We were supposed to have a call last week, but it'll be tomorrow now instead. So I don't have as much to share as I wanted to. But he did say that there has been, and some of you probably know, there's been a lot more flooding in Western North Carolina again. So in Hendersonville, which is just south of where we will stay at Mullen Bible Camp, they've had a lot of flooding. And then in a town that starts with a B, and I can't remember it. So we'll be able to work with that flooding. This is not a region that floods often. So to have another flood after Helene is a really big deal. We'll be doing a lot of the same kind of work that we did last year when we were there. Last year we were in Chimney Rock and Lake Lure area. This year we'll be in a town called Bat Cave, doing very similar work. Also, I'm pretty convinced that we're going to see Batman. So it just seems like the kind of place that he would live. So we're super excited about that. That will be the 11th through the 17th. So the day after we finish at middle school and high school camp, we will leave. And some of our students are going to camp that week. Some of them have decided that they don't want to leave for the mission trip the day after camp. So they are going to camp the week before. So we will also go and visit them. It'll just be kind of a crazy summer, which is pretty typical for us. So yeah.
Yeah, jumping right in. And then at the end of July, party in the parking lot, back to school in August. And then
I'll say goodbye.
yeah.
Yeah. Where are we at on our fundraising for Asheville? We are almost there. And if I had looked at my computer already this morning and put in some of the donations that I know have come in, I would be able to tell you. But I will say that there is no one that owes, as of this morning, there's no one that owes more than $100, I think. Definitely everybody is $200 or less. But I can't give you an exact number because, sorry, I was out and haven't looked at my computer. Cool.
All right. Thank you. And, Allie mentioned it. Her last Sunday with us will be the first Sunday in August. So we'll be sure to say goodbye again for real this time. But we could never show enough appreciation for all that Allie's done for the ministry here. So we'll celebrate her again. Tim, I want to give you a chance to go ahead and share before I share, because I know you're going to be leading in the next service. So go right ahead.
Thank you. I don't really need that much time with this here. I will focus on a couple things, but mostly that I'm just going to run through quickly is what you're going to see in our newsletter next week coming out for our next quarterly newsletter. But yeah, normally when you see with how my job is, a big focus of mine is on Easter and Christmas, and we are a long ways away from Christmas and everything right now. So you would think that I don't have that much going on, but au contraire with that. We have a lot of great stuff going on this summer, just as Allie and Lindsay mentioned just a little bit ago. And I am also excited just to be a part of a couple other things outside of church here. I'm going to be playing a big part of the Fine Arts Camp again, of course. And as Lindsay mentioned about, we are still in need of some volunteers. I really do encourage you that if you are someone who doesn't work in the morning, or if you're retired or such, would be from basically 8:30 to noon, we would love to have you be a part of this. We can plug you in at certain places. I will say there are a couple things that we are searching for that is going to be much needed with this. We need one more art teacher that would teach our 4th through 6th grade class. And these classes are normally about 35, 40 minutes long, but a fun opportunity to be able to work with them. We got the stuff that we want to plan on doing with them, but we would love to hear suggestions as well with that if you're interested in teaching for that. It's a great opportunity. If you can only be here for an hour as well, that works out great. We could use another person to help out with our snack time as well, preparing the snacks leading up to when they will have them at around 10:45, 11 o'clock. So those are two important areas that we are still looking at specifically. And I will tell you, if I was a genius, I would have talked with some of our people in here, because I see plenty of people who are involved in our fine arts camp, and would have them do like a quick testimonial or something like that, because it really is an awesome and life-changing experience as well, that we get to be able to work with these kids. It is such a rewarding time as we prepare stuff with them in choir and drawing with art and such, and dance and a whole bunch of other different things. That way they can be able to show what they learned on Friday night with a concert that they do, but also just get the joy of being able to realize the talents that they may not have seen, or might not have discovered if they didn't come here. For some of these kids, this is their first time being exposed to that, and then they fall in love with what they do, and it's a great thing that they can be able to take out with them and be able to use in their churches and certain communities as well. So I really do say this as a way just to encourage you all to be part of this life-changing experience that we do with that. All right. And then other than that, I have the pleasure of being able to lead worship for our elementary camp at Camp Lakewood. That'll be happening in a couple of weeks. And then also in July at Epworth Forest, I'm going to be part of the worship team for the junior high and high school camp as well. It is an awesome time with that as well. Kids being excited about singing together, worshiping together, coming together. I saw that for the first time in both camps last year, and I definitely wanted to be part of it again. So be in prayer for those as we get ready for those also. And then other than that, I'm hoping in September to go to a worship conference that's down in Nashville. That can be a focus on using modern worship music and tying it in with the doctrine of being a United Methodist. And so I feel like that's something that can be a big part with what we try to do with our chapter 2 service, and hopefully going to be able to do that. And if so, I'm going to be really looking forward to that also. But that's really what I have going on right now. And so even though Christmas is still a long ways away, I got plenty of stuff to keep myself busy with that. All right. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. So your staff is in demand, and that's a good thing. The Stephen Ministry, as well as the peer-to-peer program that I'm going to talk a little bit about, have both been funded by a $40,000 grant that we received a year and a half ago from Center for Congregations, and it's been a wonderful journey. I do have flyers there on one of the podiums back there if you're interested in peer-to-peer. This is the information, pamphlet that we hand out to some of our students and the staff over at DeKalb. So peer-to-peer is a program, you've heard me probably talk about it before. It is a program that teaches Kingian nonviolence and conflict de-escalation to students in high school. Now, we're replicating a program that's happening out of Wayne Street United Methodist Church under Monte there. He came here and shared several years ago, and we've been working with 6 students who have become peacemakers in our local high school here at DeKalb. Those students then lead a club, and that club is called Peace Club. For this last semester, we've averaged about 20 students at each of those. Those happen on Tuesdays during what's called SST. We used to call it study hall when I was a kid, but it's also a time for clubs to meet and to do catch-up work and that kind of thing. So we've also been invited by our school counselors to help be a part of several mediations. So when friends are having conflict or folks are in situations, our young people are in situations that they can't resolve the conflict on their own, they've been using us and our peacemakers to sit down with students and talk about conflict resolution. Just a minute ago, I'm going to give you one little tip. This is one of the biggest things that we can learn there. Lindsay passed some of these out earlier, and I'm going to teach you about I statements. And actually, I need one of those. What'd I do with mine? Oh, I set it over here. Okay. I knew you gave me one, but I lost it that quick. My wife can attest. I'm pretty good at that. All right, so I statements are a way to say your piece. So I'm talking to you like I'm teaching in one of our peace groups. And next week, several of us, this grant has paid for us to get level 1 training. And I'm going to go on and do level 2 training, which will mean I'll be certified to teach people level 1. And a lot of it that I won't get into today is also about the deeper stuff that takes a little more time to unpack, goes into the civil rights process for changing culture. So we're also talking to these kids about changing culture, and there's 6 principles to that, which I won't go into all of them, but one of the very first one is basically to do a serious look at yourself and make sure you're not adding to the violence of the situation before you step in to seek to bring about justice. But this is something we all do, not I statements. We all typically do this, you statements. And you have in front of you a sheet of paper. And these are you statements. How many have ever heard something like this or said something like this? You never listen to me. You're always on your phone. You don't make time for me. Those are you statements. Now, one of the problems with you statements is people can always kind of weasel out from under them and say, no, you don't understand, or they'll argue with you. Because you statements do a couple things. They assign blame. So one, they're not taking responsibility for our own parts in it. And the minute somebody says, okay, if somebody says, I need to talk to you, for a pastor, that's a horrifying statement. Pastor, we need to talk. But usually what follows with all you find, folks, is a great conversation, honestly. But in my history, that a lot of times has been a difficult time when someone says, you. What happens to you internally the minute somebody says, you? I can almost feel the anxiety right now, right? So it makes us defensive. The minute somebody comes to you and says, you're already like going through your mind, what are my defenses, right? And it also typically escalates the conversation. It's blaming. There's 4 types, and so we go through this, and we don't have time to go through it today other than to mention it, and we take some time to study it. But there's you statements that blame. There's you statements that are assuming. There's you statements that are used to control. And some, the worst, I think of all, are the subtle or passive aggressive you statements. So to give an example, as we look at our list here, you never listen to me. What one of these 4, and I know I haven't unpacked them very much, but which one of these 4 does that sound like? You never listen to me. Blaming, yeah. It can also maybe be assumptive, but I think it's more the blaming. You only talk to me when you need something. Now that one I think is assumptive. It's assuming that's the only reason you're coming to me, right? Another assuming one would be under dating relationships. You care more about your friends than me. That's an assumption. And, we could go through the controlling one is where you're just kind of uh, trying to force someone into something. So, anyways, we go through these and we spend a little more time than we have on them today. But what we want to teach our students to do, and we'll practice this in our mediations, I'll talk to the kids, the youth, about, when you're using you statements, this is what you do. So, we're going to talk in I statements. So an I statement takes ownership of your feelings. So here's the difference. Like if you look at that school and friends, you never listened to me. Flip it over, and they print it a little funny, so you have to turn it again. So the assumptive statement is you never listened to me. Now listen to this. This is how it can change. I feel frustrated when I'm talking and get interrupted because I don't feel heard. Do you see the difference there? So when you say, you never listen to me, for those who are married, your spouse says, well, we sat down and talked the other day, and they start doing all these defensive things, right? But when you say, I feel frustrated, they can't take that from you in the conversation. Do you understand what I mean by that? They can't say, no, you don't. You can say, yes, I do. Whether it's right or wrong, I feel frustrated. Now we have to deal with it in a healthy way. If it's your problem, you got to deal with it. If I feel this way, if we want to move forward, we're going to need to deal with this. The next thing that happens is you state specifically what happened. So it's not the you always and every time. It's, when I talk to you and you pick up your phone and you start looking at your phone, I feel like I'm not important to you, right? You're saying specifically what's happening when you're feeling frustrated or hurt. And then the next thing is to say what you need or want. When I talk to you, I would like for you to set your phone down, and maybe even if it buzzes, just leave it be. That would make me feel heard. Now, the hard thing about I statements is you statements blame. I statements say, you can hurt me, and this is how. And that's a hard thing to do. It's easier to say you than it is to say I'm hurt and I need you in some way. But that's how we resolve conflict. So that's one little tool that we use to teach. How many of you had anybody teach you how to resolve conflicts while you were in high school? How many had you in college if you went to college? A handful. How many had somebody teach you how to deal with conflicts in the workplace? All right, a little bit more. All right. It's not something we spend a lot of time on, and yet it burns a lot of energy in our relationships, in our work, in our schools. And what we're trying to do is create ambassadors within the school with our peacemakers. So we had 6 peacemakers that were trained in these principles in depth, and various others on how to help resolve conflict and help people communicate better. We had 7 apply. I think we're going to have 6 that are going to be trained. That'll be 12 at our high school. None of them were seniors last year, so we'll have 12 peacemakers at the high school, and they'll be meeting weekly along with fellow students during Peace Club, and they're working. One of the things they want to do, 2 things that they said they want to do. One, they want to teach about triangulation, which we didn't teach about today, but they noticed in the dramas in the school what's happening in each of those mediations. The students goes, oh, there's triangulation happening. These people aren't talking. They're talking around each other through others, and that's creating bigger and bigger drama. And so we're going to be exploring in 26-27 school year how we teach the student body about what triangulation is and how to avoid it and how to overcome it. We're hoping this will help our teachers focus more on academics and less on drama, conflict resolution. Having some of the students doing that, that's why it's peer-to-peer. The other thing that they talked to me about was, we take Martin Luther King Day off, but nobody really ever talks about it. Do you think the school would let us do a presentation about Dr. King and about some of these principles in or around Martin Luther King Day? Like, why don't we do that instead of just leaving school? Why don't we have conversations about the civil rights movement and conflict resolution and how we address injustice where we see it in our communities? I was blown away by that response. One of the things that I was also surprised by these students was, once we finished the training last year, I asked, what's something you wish we had maybe spent more time on? And I wasn't sure what their response was be, but I did not expect it to be this. We only studied one of Dr. King's speeches. We'd like to study more. Kids asking for more work. I think, and this is my hunch, I think youth have not been given a lot of tools for dealing with conflict, and they're tired of the drama. And they're tired of the drama because, unlike most of us in here, we didn't have to be on 24/7 or communicating 24/7 because we didn't have social media. So we didn't have to have such sharp communication tools when we were young to deal with conflict. But when you're kids who are youth and kids that are dealing with constant accusations or character assassinations or bullying that happens not only for 2 minutes in the hallway, like most of us probably experienced it, and that was bad enough, right? At recess or the hallway or the lunchroom. But we got to go home and retreat and isolate. Not anymore, folks. It continues online. You can start getting spammed from a bunch of people. A post that you posted years ago starts getting mocked and brought up, and it's ugly. And these kids are hungry to know how to deal with it in healthier and better ways. And so I think they're starting to see the value again. Not that it ever went away, but there's a hunger for what was being taught. And so we are teaching the principles of, so what I told them just recently was, hey, I'm teaching you these things about I statements and conflict resolution because when we start getting into the larger pieces of changing community, when we start really focusing on Dr. King and what the civil rights movement did, we want you to have the internal tools. Remember at the beginning, I talked about one of the first things you have to do is if you're going to confront an injustice, is first look inside and do basically a fearless moral inventory, as it would be say in the 10 steps of the AA group, is essentially the same principle. So I want them to have the tools to do that. So now as we layer onto it, tools for being community changers, they know how to get themselves right first so that they can address in healthy ways the unhealthy things that we see all around us. So I'm really excited about that. We'll have some students this summer. I'm going to be meeting with them to do some of this training, and that'll continue in the 26-27 school year. All right. That's what I wanted to focus on. Just a real quick, I think this is going to be important for us or for anybody. It's starting a little bit later, but it'll start in August 9th through September 13th. What's that leading up to? Anyways, Unity. We're going to look at how the church stays united. We are a fantastic church in that we are committed to our mission and vision. Even though some of us come from more traditional perspectives and some of us more progressive, we're unique, and we need to capture that reality and notice that it is countercultural today. The church is always at its best when it's countercultural. And our culture wants to divide, and we're a church that says, no, we're going to be united. So we're going to talk about how the early church stayed united, even though they had some divisions among them as well. If there's more than one person, there's going to be some division, right? So we're going to talk about that and what that looks like. And we have another series coming up where we are going to look at different encounters that Jesus has called roadside encounters. This is our next sermon series. How many have ever been to one of those kitschy places that has, like the Ball of Twine museum, things like that? So we're going to have some fun with that. We're going to look at different kitschy things like that, but also look at where Jesus encountered people while he was going down the road and what those lessons can teach us. All right, those are the pieces I had to share with you today. What's going on? Appreciate the staff sharing everything they have going on. Are there questions about the things we have shared today? If you ask something else, that's fine, but I may not be prepared to answer it. Are there any questions anybody has? Okay. No questions about any of that? Fantastic. We must have done a great job explaining it. So everybody understands Realm, and everybody in this room will be on it in Realm Pros. All right. So as we continue, we're continuing to double down on being a church of Christ-like unconditional love and acceptance for all. And the things we are choosing to do are things we're choosing to make space and encourage that fellowship together. Well, if we have no other questions, I'd just have us bow our heads and close with a word of prayer. Lord, I thank you for an active church with a big heart. And Lord, there's a lot going on. Help us to keep up with it so that we can do it all well. Help us to slow down when we do need to slow down and take a breath, but empower those, Lord, who have stepped up and said yes to these challenges. And Lord, those hearts that are being stirred right now, show them the next step they might make to get involved, whether it's volunteering for our fine arts camp or asking how they might help with our conflict resolution Kingian programs, or how they might be a part of Stephen ministry and walking with fellow human beings to bring healing and be a listening ear. And in all these good things, we pray above all else that they would glorify your name, in which we pray. Amen.